Yeah,
We're on.
I got to tell you, this is a real treat. I am at Monterey Stadium where Jack McCurry did so many incredible things. And here's Doc Rob Potter, dear friend of Doc Pat DeMayo. So let me just explain before I start talking to him. We're going to do a couple of videos before I head into KDK tonight for the Allegheny Health Network program, Medical Frontiers with Dr. Gerald Pfeiffer. So that national team, that #1 team from 1987, graduating class of '88, Pat Carey, now football coach here, part of that team. We'll get to all that later. But it was the very first year that this man, whose father before him was one of those team physicians along with Doc Pat DeMayo. And I have said, and I'm going to say it again, I believe what he and Dr. DeMayo did back then with Allegheny General Hospital, Allegheny Health Network, now in conjunction with Highmark, was the catalyst to put sports medicine on the map at the high school level. And that's why they do it better than anyone else. Up and down this place that we call home, football field after football field, Friday night after Friday night, but it has really evolved. So let's talk about the early days of sports medicine, and now, Doc, how it really has become absolutely incredible with what they do at the Allegheny Health Network.
Well, my dad started here as a team doctor in '59, and they didn't have trainers, they didn't have much of anything. He actually went to a sports medicine conference up in with Joe Paterno in the '60s. And so there really wasn't much sports medicine. He sort of did his own sports medicine thing. I took over from my dad here in '85, and there still weren't any trainers really until a little bit later. Pat DeMayo joined in '93, which was the year that we won a state championship.
Right,
with
Eric
Eric Kasparovitz as a quarterback and LeVar Arrington as a freshman,
right,
wide receiver.
Well, let me just say real quick, that is the story that I've told many times. When he saw LeVar Arrington run a football, he called his wife, Anita, and he said he has just witnessed the greatest high school football player he has ever seen. And LeVar the other night was on Quest for the Best, actually called in and talked to Dan Zangrilli and Mike White of the Post-Gazette. But the early days, you're there and Pat comes in, but how it has evolved. And when you look at it today with what they're doing at the Allegheny Health Network, and you are now a retired physician, what do you think are some of the most incredible steps forward that they have done in recent years to really let student athletes and parents know that their young men are in very capable hands?
There are a lot of aspects that have changed dramatically. Of course, there's an orthopedic surgeon now comes to the game. Either Pat or one of his associates comes to each game. They cover a lot of different schools in the area, not just North Hills, obviously. And they're right on the spot. If somebody gets hurt, they're right there. We had an unfortunate kid in the last one game that broke his arm, and right away they're all there. There's the paramedics here, everybody's here. They address the problem right away, get them off the treatment right away. The surgical techniques, of course, that's not in my realm, but I know the surgical techniques have vastly improved to get people back on the field, and the rehabilitation process also is vastly improved. The trainers are very well trained now. So we didn't have trainers when I first started. Now the trainers are extremely well trained, and they're in every practice, of course. And so there are much improvement, a lot of improvement as far as getting the kids back on the field and just having healthy the rest of their lives, for that matter.
Yeah, and the partnership with Highmark has been absolutely incredible. But Pat, and I'm going to brag on him a little bit, he came here, New York state of mind, that attitude, spent some time in Cleveland working there as well with professional sports teams. Obviously the great representation with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's a former player at the high school level who's always loved high school football. But how he had this plan, he and people like Doc Schnell and others, former players like DJ Phillips, who played for Jim Render at Upper St. Clair, this game plan, they have rolled this blueprint out to where now, sure, is it perfect? No, but it's pretty seamless as far as knowing that they have pretty much everything covered. And what they're doing with nutrition and rehabilitation and these trainers who are so highly trained, I just think we have some of the best doing it at the Allegheny Health Network in conjunction. You agree?
I completely agree, yeah. I was able to work with Pat, DJ, a lot of the other physicians with Pittsburgh Pirates. They take care of kids from little league stuff all the way to the professionals.
Yeah, and you know, the thing too with what I love, Frank Velasquez is another part of that great brand. They do start very young. And when you have these student athletes who get to this level and have that kind of treatment and then they go on to play college football, it keeps them happy and healthy, and it also gives them an opportunity to get that scholarship that's going to really benefit their family, and also give them a chance to play at the next level. But in our next video, we're going to talk about what Jack McCurry did. And I truly believe this, not just with that 87 team and teams like the one that Eric was on in 1993, but how they truly were the precipice to what we are now seeing as far as the brand of high school football. Mike White was one of the early people doing what he did at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And now through it all, with what we're doing with my colleagues at KDKA, Odyssey on Friday night and that great team, it really is a magical time in Western Pennsylvania. But all of that magic and where we are today and how it's become such an epic brand, high school football, King football, I truly believe that it began here with Dr. DeMeo, Jack McCurry, and Monterelli Stadium. And when I come here and how this place is nestled in this community, it just sends a chill up and down my spine, because this is everything that Friday Night Lights and high school football is all about. Now, I do want to remind you before we take a break and talk about that incredible year of 1987, that team, graduating class of 88. I do know this, Saturday, we're going to begin at 11 o'clock, right after I get done on Saturday, with some pregame coverage. And then at noon, we've got the 5A championship, Peters Township, TJ Plack, and of course, John Ladon, Pine Richland. And then we got all sorts of great things happening with Paul Alexander, Dan Zangrilli, the coach Johnny Lee. And of course, we are going to give you Mike White as well, up until 6 o'clock when we have the 6A championship. It's North Allegheny, Art Walker Jr., and Ryan Laymeyer, Central Catholic. And all of those coaches will be with me on the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday show right after local news at 11. But the amazing thing, speaking of North Allegheny, I got to bring this up. I say all the time, it's just a revolving door. The circles all connect. He graduated from North Allegheny, and tell everybody who your football coach was.
Frank Walton.
Joe Walton's brother.
Correct, yes.
Tiger Joe Walton's son.
I still maintain contact with Christmas card exchange every year with Frank Walton.
Unbelievable. Joe Walt, one of my dear friends. Don't forget that Larry Bruno Foundation in the heart of Beaver Falls on 7th Avenue. We're going to step back in time and remember truly one of the most incredible times in the history of high school sports, and Jack McCurry, the driving force behind it, along with this guy, Doc Potter. Thanks to Pat Carey, who still does amazing work here at the North Hills High School, and you've got Eric Kasparovich, who's in this school district. To all my friends, Mike Leon, of course, Leon's Billiards and more. I love this school district, and I'm so honored to be here today with KDKA, of course, your Pratte Pack. Stay with us. You don't want to miss this next segment. Doc Potter.